Hey, Warrior Saints, good morning. Happy Thursday. So pumped. Got some fun news to tell you. I said to you all yesterday that our new book is going to be available on Monday, this coming Monday. I was wrong. It was available yesterday. They got it out there faster. You can purchase our new book, The Way of the Warrior Saint, How to Live a Crucifixional Life, by visiting warriorsaints.org/book. Lots of people reached out to me last night and told me that they already purchased it. I'm so humbled and thankful. I don't know if it's good. I gave it my best shot. I wanted to share some thoughts in my mind with the world, and people were gracious to me, and I love you. I thank you for that. For those that haven't purchased it yet, you can get it warriorsaints.org/book, and you will be able to find the link, see some reviews. People wrote beautiful reviews. They were gracious. I don't know. I'm thankful. I can't say it enough. And it's going to hopefully, it gives the reader a Christian perspective on dealing with difficulties, hardships, and suffering, right? That's the main idea. The world wants to tell us everything should be easy, and, the gospel's telling us, no, it's got to be tough. And you know what? Go get some. And that kind of leads into the discussion today, is that for many Christians, maybe for most of us, there is a feeling in the world right now that there is a persecution going on. Now, I know that there's some dramatization that goes on, especially because everybody believes literally the things they read in their social media feeds, that it's, oh my God, it's the end of the world. I hope it's not. I pray to God it's not. I'm not ready. But there's a little bit of drama. But really, in truth, Christians are struggling with you've heard the stories where people talk about, my social media feed was shut down on Facebook or YouTube or Twitter or something because I made a post about Jesus or something from Scripture, or that I feel like my ability to speak freely is being assaulted, and so on. And, and indeed, I would say for sure that the world is moving towards secularism, although there's a strong pull for faith. There's a secular movement, and I'm feeling oppressed and persecuted and all of those things. And so with all of that kind of thought, I wanted to talk a little bit today about persecution and the fact that persecution is real. I mean, Christians have faced persecution from Christ till now, right? And so how do we deal with that? What mindset do we have to put ourselves in order to deal with whatever struggles or persecutions we may face in our lives as individuals, and then collectively as a whole, as the Christian body of Christ? And so I want to start with this. It's really tough and beautiful, but tough text from the Gospel of John, chapter 15, and then one verse from chapter 16. And in this context, very quickly, this is what we call, it's written within the book of glory. So the end of chapter 13 through the beginning of chapter 18 is Jesus at the Last Supper with his disciples, and he's giving them all of the teachings before he leaves to go towards the cross. And so scholars call this the book of glory. And smack in the middle of it is chapter 15, and we hear this about suffering and persecution and so on. And he says the following. I'm going to read them to you, so listen to these beautiful words. This is chapter 15, verse 17 and following. This I command you, love one another. So he's laying the ground rule, you better love. I'm going to tell you, you're going to have some hardships coming, but you better love. And he says, if the world hates you, know that it has hated me before it hated you. If you were of the world would love its own. But because you are not of the world, but I chose you out of the world, therefore the world hates you. Remember the word I said to you, a servant is not greater than his master. If they persecuted me, they will persecute you. And this is the Lord telling us that the world, now we're not talking the physical, planet within which we reside, but the world, meaning the idea, the mentality, the mindset, the secular worldview, whatever it is that's out there. And ultimately, he is saying that you are not of that. You are different than that. You have to live on the planet. But you don't have to live the way that broken and sinful ideologies and mentalities and philosophies tell you to live. You're different than that. If you were like that, they would love you. They wouldn't persecute you, right? And so, if you're different, you better believe they're going to persecute you. They did it to me, says Christ. They're going to do it to you. Like we, the servants, we're not greater than the Lord. We're not greater than the master. And so if they persecuted him, we have to expect that as well. And so in that, the mindset for us is like, it's really kind of cool if you think about it. When we face persecution, it's kind of cool. And I'll tell you why. Number one, it says that for those, now look, let me preface. I'm not looking for Christians to become arrogant and arrogant and awful judgmental people. Leave the judgment to Christ. But recognize that when you speak the gospel, when you speak truth, it's uncomfortable, right? Because the gospel begins, the opening line of the gospel begins by saying you are a sinner and you are wrong. Like, right? So it makes us uncomfortable because we're all too arrogant and too egotistical to ever think that we're wrong. And so if something or someone tells us that we are wrong, we're going to say why it's so bad. I mean, that's why people, mostly why people don't want to deal with the Christian faith and deal with the gospel of Christ, because it begins by telling you it's a corrective, you need to fix yourself, and then it also tells you it's going to be hard, and we don't really like either one of those things because we're lazy, arrogant people, right? I mean, that's just who we are. So when we're attacked for those beliefs, it's telling us that we're speaking truly. Do you understand? Not with arrogance. Like I said, we're talking against arrogance. We don't want to become arrogant in and of ourselves, right? Christians are bad at that too, so there's some truth in that. We got to be very humble about things. But it tells us that, like, if we're making noise that makes others uncomfortable, it's probably because it's the right thing to say. Do you understand that? So we can rejoice in that. The second part, and this I love, I'm going to throw this quote at you. This is a beautiful quote from a Palestinian monk in the 6th century. His name was Abba Dorotheos. And he has a young monk come to him, and he says to the wise elder, Father, elder, in Palestine they would have used the word Abba, right, in the monastic tradition. Abba, I just want to be with Christ. I want to find peace in my heart from Christ. Why is the devil, he's making war against me. I'm trying to get away from him. Why is he making war with me? And the old man smiles and looks to the young monk, and he says, the fact that you are being made war against is a sign that you are first making war. And so in some sense, Abba Dorotheos is saying to us, to the young monk, you started it. Like, you said to the devil, I reject you. I want to be with Christ. I want to live a Christian life. And that's beautiful, but the devil's not going to take that lying down. He's going to say, oh, really? Well, then here I come, right? In other words, if a man or a woman is not desiring to be with Christ, the devil doesn't have to worry about them. He's already winning, right? There's no need to divert his forces there to attack that man or woman. He's already winning, right? See it? So just leave us to our own devices. We'll take care of it for ourselves. But when we desire to be with Christ, you better believe there's going to be persecution. You better believe the devil's going to bring it because he wants to lure us away, right? Now, let's not get lost. The devil is a little short, fat dude with a red suit with pitchfork and horns. That's not what I'm talking about. The devil's much more subtle than that, right? Like much more subtle and much more, anyways, So all of that to say, when we are persecuted for our belief and our faith, man, that's a beautiful thing. Because number one, it means you're making people uncomfortable, you're speaking truth. And it means that the devil's bringing it because you have made a decision to be with Christ. And so we, as to quote the Apostle Paul, we rejoice in our sufferings because it means we're on to something, right? And so as Christians, when we speak the truth, now notice, I'm not going to say when you speak your truth. There's no your truth and my truth and his. There's truth, right? We talk about it like that, but there's truth, right? Things are true and things are not true. There's no that it's relative in that sense. So when we speak the truth, it makes people uncomfortable and you have to expect and anticipate that there will be challenges. Now I'm going to switch to chapter 16, and here we hear in verse 2. I have said all of these things to keep you away from falling away. They will put you out of the synagogues. Indeed, the hour is coming when whoever kills you will think he is offering service to God. I mean, that's insane, right? How insane and mad is the world that they think that killing someone is doing a service to God, right? Like, God gave the 10 commandments. One of them is don't kill, right? So if I disobey that commandment to kill, how am I offering service to him? Can you really? I mean, are you really? You're not, right? The whole point of that is what? People have become so twisted and warped in what we look at as being true that we would be willing to call wrong right. And this is a problem for Christ. I mean, it's a problem for you and I, and you know that. And so that's why, beloved warrior saints, I'm telling you, without arrogance, we don't want to have our own hubris, but you look, we don't speak like the world speaks. We're not interested in the things that the world is interested in. Like, I like golf. Okay, the world plays golf. That's not what I'm talking about. I'm talking about the ideas, the ideology, the philosophies of truth. I'm not interested in the world's way. I'm interested in the gospel. And it speaks against all of it, right? Like I often say, you hear people say, like, how can you be a Democrat and be a Christian? How can you be a Republican and be a Christian? I don't care about any of it. It's totally different. Like, we're not speaking apples and apples. The gospel, as I said, is corrective. And it begins by telling us, hey, you're lost, come home. The good news with all of that is that when we face that persecution, it means you're on the right path. Don't become arrogant in it, as I've said now multiple times, but recognize that you are doing the right thing, and you have to anticipate that people are not going to like it, and they will come after you. With all of that being said, it then becomes a challenge on how to do that. So I want to say this. We're working hard now to prepare a new lesson to answer that question. How do we face and endure and stand up for the truth and endure the persecutions that Christians may be facing? We're going to record a lesson for the Way of the Warrior Saint that will be available to only to our subscribers. And what this lesson is going to talk about it's going to talk about, how do I do it? All right, Father Chris, you said it, be strong, you know it's coming. You started the war with the devil, he's bringing the thunder. How do we get through that? How do we find victory in that? We're going to do our best to give you the answers to those questions at the Way of the Warrior Saint. For those who may not know, the Way of the Warrior Saint it's an online video library. Like, we have this growing, ever-expanding library of teachings that answer questions like the one we're posing today. It is full of there's just, like I said, there's a gazillion different lessons, and when you subscribe to the Way of the Warrior Saint, you can see all of them. You have access to all of them. So, I want to encourage you. We're going to put this up there, how to deal with this persecution and how to stay strong in it and to speak the truth. Will go up on the Way of the Warrior Saint. We're hoping this coming Monday as well. That being said, visit us at warriorsaints.org. You can subscribe there. You can also see how to order our new book, our first book, which, interestingly enough, is called The Way of the Warrior Saint. You can see that's our thing. It's fun, and I appreciate you guys. Really, all those people who subscribe and join, and all those people who purchase the book. I mean, you're all here. Believe me, I'm not saying that without, I'm saying it with great sincerity. I mean that. I'm grateful to you all. I know Greg is as well, and our whole team is. We thank you, beautiful people. Do us the favor. Like, share, ring the bells, comment. We love your comments. Those are fun. We try to answer all of them that we can. We appreciate all that kind of fun stuff. Anyways, at this point, I'm rambling, so I will turn you loose and let you get back to your life. But we appreciate you guys. We love you. We will be back with you again tomorrow, Friday, for our Crucifixional live stream. And until then, keep walking on the Way of the Warrior Saint.